Hi, this is Les Posen, Fear of Flying clinical psychologist. Welcome aboard. I'm on board the Carnival Splendor, somewhere in the Coral Sea, on our journey to the South Pacific, starting with New Caledonia, in particular at the port of Noumea, coming up tomorrow, which will be August the 29th, I think it is. So, this is a little bit of a busman's holiday. Normally, if I'm on board a cruise ship, especially since 2012, I have been lecturing on board enrichment talks for a variety of shipping lines: Royal Caribbean, Cunard, Queen Elizabeth, Celebrity, Silver Sea, Regent, and so forth. But today, this is a family holiday. There's 10 of us on board, 3 generations, and so I can just relax and be grandpa, so to speak. This is the next in a series of short videos I've been doing, looking at what you could do in the week before you go, and with a special focus on some of the typical presentations that I see. The first preceding ones, the first 2 videos I did, were on turbulence and claustrophobia, and today I want to talk to you a little about control issues. As time has gone on, since I started doing fear of flying work, we've moved away from safety through to a much increased sense of loss of control. I board the aircraft and I just have to sit there and just suck it up for an hour, 10 hours, 16 hours. And I don't like the sense of being not in control. The difficulty is that sensing not being controlled, people then very quickly move to I'm out of control, and that instills a sense of panic. Let's choose our language appropriately here. Not being in control means I can't decide every little thing that happens to me in this situation. And it's kind of predicated on the idea that I'm in control of everything when I sit at my work desk, when I'm at home organizing the domestic chores. Well, yes, you are in control of when you decide to do that and what's going on, but in reality, there are many things that are taking place that are not in your control. You're cleaning up, doing things, then an email comes in that says you need to respond to this. There's a phone call, we've got a crisis down at the plant, you need to react. So your timetable goes out the window. And we kind of accept this. I mean, this is part of work stress, it's part of daily life and whatever else. Somehow or other, when we walk on board a plane, and we don't have to think about doing anything except looking after ourselves, suddenly I'm out of control because I've lost control. Your task, using your language, is to get on board that aircraft, sit down, and say, I choose. It's in my control when I choose. I don't need to control everything. You choose when that happens. You can control which airline to go with. You can control up to a point what seats you're going to have, how much you're going to pay, the time of day that you leave. That's so much is in your control. However, a certain amount gets out of control. You get to the airport, there's a delay. You get to the airport and you didn't get the seats you wanted to. And that's just part of the daily life of commercial aviation. But that's not quite what we're getting to. I want to get to the point where I just don't feel comfortable when I'm not in control of all the things I wish to control. So you've got to figure out, what do I need to control? Do I need to control what the plane's doing? No, you've already made that choice. I'm going on flight XYZ to airport ABC. That was your choice. Once you're on board, having chosen your seats, maybe you've even been given a choice of what meal you want to have. What more do you want to choose? So your task is to say, I choose to control what I can control. My behaviors, my thoughts, and possibly the resultant emotions and feelings, although too often psychologists place those first as the things to control, and I don't think that's wise. I think you control, where possible, how you think and how you behave. The two are interrelated, and from there, feelings and emotions will kind of play catch up with you. So choose when to control and what to control, and then give up trying to control everything else. This is not your task. Many of the things in commercial aviation are to be left to the professionals. Now, if you know that you've got this, I don't like giving up control, and the week before you go, you've got to practice getting uncomfortable with not controlling everything. That means disrupting some of the habits that say, I'm in danger because I'm not in control. Things aren't happening my way. And that feels very uncomfortable. And as I've discussed in this channel many times, being uncomfortable can very quickly align with I'm in danger. And you've got to keep practicing this idea that discomfort does not mean I'm in danger. Okay? Sometimes you can be in danger and not experience any discomfort. I could be walking the streets of New York in a certain neighborhood, go and visit my friends downtown, and they'll say, where were you today? And I went over here. He went, where? Don't you realize that's not the most safe place to be? I can be in danger and not be aware of it. The converse is I can be having uncomfortable signals and conclude I'm in danger when in fact these are perfectly reasonable signals and I'm not in danger. Okay, so what to practice? You are going to practice putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, experiencing strong levels of discontent and discomfort and disharmony. Part of you, the planning, reasoning, executive function parts, the newer parts, are going to say, this is not dangerous. But another part of you, the older limbic system, the safety-oriented, threat detection, get me out of here situation, is going to say, hold on, this feels uncomfortable, you must be in danger. And your task is to get into that battle and say, no, I'm not. I accept the discomfort. It's just a signal, not a definition of being unsafe. So, what are the sort of daily things you can do for the week before you go that will engender your discomfort? Well, what we've got to do is try and disrupt normal habits that we've taken for granted by definition. And disrupt them so we start to become very conscious of these habits. They're little things. For instance, think back today how you got dressed. If you're a guy and you get dressed in a suit or pants and jacket, think about how you got dressed. And as a woman, the same kind of thing. I'm just choosing a guy because that's how it comes naturally to me. I don't wish to make presumptions. But how do I get dressed? Do I put on underwear first and then socks and then a shirt? Or is it the shirt first, then socks? No. Whatever it is, randomize it. If you want to, you can write down on a piece of paper all the various elements that you expect to wear. Shirt, maybe tie, maybe jacket. On several pieces of paper, put them in a cup, and then just randomly take out one and then line them up in order. Of course, if you wear an undershirt, a singlet as we call it in Australia, of course that'll have to go on before you put on your main shirt. So a little bit of leeway here, not the other way around. Okay, but randomize it. It will feel uncomfortable, for instance, and then another double check. Think back, which sock did I put on first, the right or the left? When I put on my trousers, did I put the right foot in or the left foot in? It will be a case of leg dominance. Reverse it, do it the other way around. You're going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel weird and strange. Okay, so that's number one. Women, same sort of thing. Okay. That might even apply to makeup. Maybe do I do my right eye first, then my left eye? Reverse it round. Okay. Of course, if you're about to head into something that's mission critical and you've got to really look after your appearance, this is not the time to do this. We're playing here. We're trying to tease our brains to become uncomfortable so that another section of brain, the planning part, goes, no, we're not in danger. It's just uncomfortable. You're teasing and playing here. Okay. What else? If it's at breakfast time, I'm not going to suggest you choose a different breakfast. Maybe swap knife and fork. Maybe if you use your fork in your left hand, change it to the right hand, vice versa. In the morning, if you brush your teeth, what do you use? Your right hand? Change it over to left hand. If you brush your nails, do it the other way around. Shaving, I don't suggest you change hands. Not safe. Okay. I think you're starting to get the gist. You're trying to move things around, acknowledging that certain things you do are habitual because they just save time and thinking. Now you're going to make them very front and conscious. How am I doing things? And you want to rattle a cage a little bit. That's what we're trying to do and get yourself uncomfortable. And practice this for the week before you go. several times a day, having a look at your normal routines and rattling the cage. If you get into your car, what do you do first? You put your seatbelt on first, then the keys in the ignition, rattle that up. Don't do anything that's going to increase your danger in driving. You should end up being ready to drive safely, no matter which order you do things in. Okay? If you always walk to the back of the car to get in, go around the front of the car to get in. Rattle the cage, get uncomfortable, but get okay with being uncomfortable. Do you see? These are little things that you can practice where you're putting executive function, your brain, part of your brain, frontal lobe, into opposition or contention with the old-fashioned part, the limbic part that likes things done in a certain way because that means safety. Okay? We're trying to challenge that notion that if I'm uncomfortable, I'm unsafe. Okay? Have a bit of a play with this. There's lots you can play with. Write some comments below about what you did to engender this, and have a play with this. When you're ready, visualize yourself getting on board the plane, settling down, putting things away, and just being able to say, I'm in charge of when I say to myself, I don't need to control everything. Okay? Now, in a later video, we might play with the idea of where does this come from? Where does this demand for control, which is aligned a little bit with perfection, come from? And they go back some distance for many of us, but they always are about feeling safe when I do it this way and feeling unsafe if it doesn't happen this way. Okay? We're trying to separate out certain things I can do. I feel unsafe, but I'm not unsafe. Remember my mantra, terms might be uncomfortable, but it's not unsafe. Doing things that engender a sense of unsafety or lack of safety doesn't necessarily mean I am unsafe. If those little habit-breaking ideas don't really do the thing for you, you'll have to up the ante to get yourself into your discomfort zone to learn to tolerate that. The idea of not being in complete control of your emotions, feelings, I won't say behaviors or thoughts. And that's what we call in the trade shame attacking exercises. Go to a building that's very well known in your city, bump into a stranger, not bump in, but just tap them and walk up to them and say, can you tell me where the so-and-so building is? Yeah, you're right in front of it. In other words, you are tempting someone to just roll their eyes at you and make out as if, what sort of fool is this person? Being made to feel foolish and embarrassed is one of the most primitive of fears that we can have, because it means being cast outside of our clan. If you're in charge of running large organizations, being seen as less than competent is a real challenge. And this is my challenge for you. Put yourself in places, not where it's going to be truly dangerous, but where the danger comes from feeling uncomfortable. Give that a shot too. That's my last little thing to suggest to you. We call these shame attacking exercises in the trade, and they really are something that I practice quite often. And here on board ship, I have lots of practice just walking up to strangers and making conversation. Half the time I get funny looks, I just smile back, and half the time I engage in interesting conversations, however so briefly. Give it a shot. Let me know how you go in the comments.